Okay, we are we're good to go. We're good to go. I should do the typical welcome, the little welcome message. I have it up, and then we'll just make it
Welcome.
disappear. Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome
The,
to the 12-hour podcast. Yeah. That's right. It's it's good to have you here, Amit.
Good to be back. I was looking forward to it the whole week, and we are going to talk about that in a while.
Yeah. It's always an event. Every Friday is an exciting time. It's one of those times where we get to do something fun together. We get to talk, catch up, um, see where a discussion will lead us. I've got a bunch of different things that I think might be interesting to talk about. I've been making some notes on stuff, but we'll get into it for sure. We'll get into it.
Yeah.
How about you?
Me as well.
Yeah, you got some
Yeah.
ideas of what you want to talk about?
Yeah, one thing that really surprised me yesterday. I I was looking forward to talk about that with you.
Oh, okay. Now I'm the suspense. The suspense is
Uh,
killing me. Let's go. Tell me.
Okay, first of all, we should welcome our two subscribers. They are with me here today.
That's right.
That's
Perfect. Okay.
that's mosquito number one, and that's maybe rat number one.
Yeah, for real. For real. What do we got? We got like one view on our video from last week. That's pretty good.
Still better than nothing.
Yeah. It's kind of to be expected. I predict, okay, this is my prediction. I will say that the next 5 or 6 videos will see like 5 views or less on the next
Hmm.
5 videos. And then once we get to the sixth video, I think we'll see like 6 or 7. We'll see from 5 to 10 views. Start to get there consistently after that. And then after maybe about 20 videos, we will maybe get up to 30 views. I think it's going to be very slow. It's going to be a very slow, grueling, gradual process to get people onto the, you know, onto the list of viewers of this podcast. But I'm okay with it. It doesn't bother me. I think it's kind of interesting. For me, it's like an experiment.
Mm. Yeah, it's a new experience for me as well.
So
Okay.
tell me what's been going on with you. Tell me. By the way, do you like my mug?
It says grateful.
Yeah, only real men have hearts on their mug.
Why not?
Yeah,
Men have heart,
yeah, of course. I actually my
even
more
if people don't believe so.
that's right. A lot of people believe that men don't have any heart whatsoever, and if they do, it's black. Um, my mortgage broker gave me this actually. A nice guy.
Is that like a return on commission?
I guess so. That's what the commission that he got me a mug with a heart on it.
So now he's at loss.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah. It's a very expensive mug. It doesn't look like it, but it's made out of diamonds.
And we are grateful for him to
We,
take care of his clients.
yeah, he's a nice guy. He's a very nice guy. Okay, well, tell me what's been going on with you this week. I'm very interested to hear how you've been.
Okay, I've been very good really. Like up until Friday, that was yesterday for me.
Okay,
I was pumped up, I was feeling productive, I was doing a variety of things,
cool.
and everything was like, okay, even if things are not working out, it still feels good. And it was feeling like a long week.
Okay,
And I was thinking, hey, weekend isn't here yet. The week, usually what happens is when the week isn't going well, the weekend suddenly appears.
Right.
The week just runs by. But
Right.
this time, the week was going at a moderate pace and it felt good. And I was thinking, okay, we are still a lot distance away from the weekend.
Right.
But suddenly yesterday the weekend arrived. And I was like, okay, just yesterday I was feeling the weekend is very far, and now I'm feeling the weekend has arrived. What happened? What changed? I couldn't I couldn't put a finger on it.
Were
So
you
I thought
drinking
I
rum
would,
again? Is that what happened? You were drinking some rum?
but that was, I think it's been a few days.
Okay, it's been a few days since you've had some rum. So I'm wondering if
Yeah,
you had maybe you had like a bunch of rum. You had so much rum like yesterday that by time you you became more conscious, you realized like you just blacked out. Maybe that's what happened. That's what I'm trying to say. You had some rum, you blacked out, and at first you were thinking it's going to take forever to the weekend to get here, and then all of a sudden it was here because you just blacked out for a bunch of time.
that's very unlikely.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Uh,
Just a shot in the dark.
yeah, no, I'm not a heavy drinker per se. I only drink up to my quota. That's what we call
Only one
here.
bottle. You're not a heavy drinker. You only have one bottle per night.
Per night, that's a lot. No,
Oh,
I,
sorry. For every other night.
wrong again.
Oh, okay.
Usually something like a mood based, occurrence.
Okay. Okay. What kind of mood do you have
Yes,
to be in to drink?
a good mood
Okay.
for sure.
What happens if you're in a bad mood? Do you get angry?
I think so. Yeah, it would
Really?
make me cranky.
Oh, really?
Not angry, but cranky.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. I don't know if I've ever had alcohol when I was not at least just even keeled, relaxed. I don't know what I would be like if I was angry or I don't know if I was anything besides even keeled or in a good mood. If I was anything besides those two things, if like what would happen if I was drinking? I don't know because I'm usually I'm a I'm pretty good. Like if I'm drinking, I'm the type of guy that will just be smiling and laughing.
So you're a good company to be around. I can
I
vouch
hope
for that.
I hope so. Well, isn't that nice? Isn't that sweet? Nice guy. Well, I hope so. I hope so. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So this week was uneventful for me. Every week is uneventful for me at this point. My whole everything that I'm trying to do right now is just find a job. Everything is centered around that. That's all I care about. So all my time is just spending networking, and I actually found a really good tool to network with. It's called lunchclub.com.
Oh, sounds new.
Lunchclub.com. Yeah, it's pretty new. So what happens is you can either get an invite from somebody or you can just set up your own profile. It's kind of, I think, better to get an invite from somebody because then you're just at least connected to one person right away. Set profile, say what your interests are professionally, maybe some personal interests too. And you select a couple of days and times that you're available to meet with people. Um, and then you choose, and it will give you like a bunch of people that the platform believes you might already know based upon because you usually hook up your LinkedIn account to it. It's better if you do it that way, anyways. I don't know if you can still get if you can still get an account without LinkedIn. But anyways, you set up a LinkedIn profile. I think it's the best way, one way or the other. And then it connects with people it believes that you know, people that are inside your network, people that are outside of your network, and then uh, yeah, and then it will like about maybe 3 days, 4 days before those times that you selected, to meet with people, it'll tell you it'll just match you with people randomly. Set up a chat room, and you can confirm whether or not you're both available for the time, and you just meet. And so far, it's been great. Like really good discussions, super organic. Um, Generally, people want to help and just connect, and yeah, it's nice. It's actually become a good way to be social at the very least.
That sounds exactly like coffeemug.ai, the app that I have tried here.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure where did that app originate, but it's
Coffeemug.ai. You
yeah,
know what
it's
we're gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to look that up.
are we allowed to do that? Branding?
Are we? Are we not? I mean, it's on. If we just do a Google search, I,
Sure.
yeah. I mean, can't we? I don't see why not. Let's see. Coffee mug.ai. Oh, I should share this. Coffeemug.ai. Connect and grow your professional network. Oh, this is good. I'm definitely going to set up a profile on this.
It's
Discover.
exactly like Lunch Club that you explained.
Very cool. Join for free. Is there any, like, do you have to pay anything? Because Lunch Club is completely free. Is there
No, I
any,
don't think so.
there's no paywall? Oh, and they have this available on your mobile as well. They've got it on the App Store and Google Play. Yeah, that's not bad because Lunch Club, at least right now, is only available on your desktop. They don't have a mobile app.
So maybe they are copying Coffee Mug.
Yeah,
That's my
maybe,
assumption.
maybe that's
And they are
great.
still in the development phase.
Yeah, I'm gonna set up an account on that too. Okay. Do you have
Mm.
an account on Coffee Mug?
Yeah, I do, but I have only been on one meeting. That's it.
Why?
I I installed it and thought of using it for networking, but I don't know. I never really found any interesting meeting over there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but that could be because I was looking for something very specific back then.
Okay. Could be. Well, okay. Yeah, I mean, now I'm kind of at the phase where it's almost like connecting with anybody will be a good thing because you never know
Yeah.
who that person might know. They learn a little bit about you, and that's how it's been so far. Almost with everybody I've met, they learn a little bit about me. You connect also on LinkedIn, um, and they might introduce you to somebody. So yeah, it's pretty good. But I'm gonna check that one out. Okay, cool. So that's been what I've been up to, and that's everything that I'm going to be up to for a while, basically until I find a job,
Hmm.
like nothing
So you're gonna
else.
try a lot of things until you get busy with the job.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
Great.
That's it. That's all I'm doing. And I mean, I spent a little bit of time playing video games. Oh, I did play a pretty cool game. All right. I don't know if you're a big gamer or not. Do you play video games? I don't know if we talked about this
Nah.
before. Okay. So I played this one game. People who are gamers will probably know this. So it's a flight simulator. I think it's just called Flight Simulator, and it's connected to Google Maps.
Oh.
It's pretty cool. And it's literally a simulator. So it's got all the different airplanes you can imagine. You can get the cockpit view, and they've got the actual cockpit, like all the dials, and you use the actual dials and all the instruments to be able to fly the aircraft just like you would in real life. And because you're using Google Maps, you're flying in real time. So it's got the
Mm.
actual traffic that's currently going on in every part of the world, and you set up like a flight plan like you would if you were an actual pilot taking off from any airport you could possibly imagine. Like there's an airport that is not too far from here called what's it called, Buttonville. I think it's called Buttonville.
Mm.
Why am I forgetting the name of it? I'm forgetting the name of it. I gotta look it up now. I gotta double check. I think it's called Buttonville. Anyways, Buttonville Airport. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. So it's a very small airport. Very, very, very small. Like typically only small planes will take off from Like you won't have, these commercial airlines taking off from Buttonville. There's like two runways that crisscross, and it's typically like private airplanes, Cessnas, like very small airplanes will take off from Buttonville. So I took off from Buttonville and I just like flew with a Cessna, and I flew up all the different streets that I know and the highways and like right by my place. It was pretty cool. It's pretty neat.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. I liked it.
So, what if your landing and takeoff time overlaps with the actual aeroplane that is on the airport?
That is actually pretty cool. So as you're getting close to landing, you have to call in your landing like you would to the air traffic controller. And as you're getting close to the landing sites, you're also hearing all the different airplanes that are about to come in. But when you set up your flight plan, it'll tell you a time. It'll give you a time that you can land.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So if you don't have that slot available, you have to keep hovering in the air for
Yeah.
real.
For real. Yeah. It's pretty wild. It's really
So
cool. And it's like the actual, um, all the real flights that are currently going on in the world are also connected to this.
that's interesting. Now that also means that if for some reason you drop out of the game, there's
Yeah.
nobody to control the aeroplane, and it's in flying in that virtual sky and
I
could crash
suppose so.
anyway.
I suppose so. Yeah. Yeah.
And what if it really turns into something real, like a sci-fi movie?
It could. You never know. You never know, man.
Yeah,
As I was flying the airplane right by my place, I'm like looking out the window, like, am I going to see this thing?
maybe that's the one you are really controlling.
You never know. You never know.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, man. It's pretty cool. It's really, really cool. And
Now, now, come to think of it, if really aeroplanes are in future going to be controlled by computers, let's say, there won't be any need for actual pilots.
that's
We
true.
can assume that.
That's true. Well, it's the same thing with autonomous vehicles, like vehicles on the road.
Yeah, so basically, I can be a pilot while sitting at home, working from home.
Yeah. How wild would
I would
that
just,
be?
I would just control the aeroplane through my laptop.
Either that or you completely leave it to AI. Would you get into an airplane where it was completely controlled by AI?
I would have to buy a very expensive insurance, but maybe.
I think I would wait a while. I wouldn't want to get on the first one.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Even if they probably would test it for a long time, for over many years, do tons of flights with the AI first before they allowed the public to actually buy tickets, but I still wouldn't get on the first one.
Even if they do that, I'm pretty sure they are gonna provide an override option.
Yeah, I do you think they have to still have, but this is the thing is, like, even if they had somebody on board who could pilot it, if something went wrong and could override everything, after a certain amount of years, if AI is fairly successful and there's not, I don't know how you do it. I guess you'd have to set things up in such a way that a pilot would still have to do a certain amount of flight hours on an ongoing basis to keep their license. So I don't
So
like it seems, but then I guess you wouldn't need it. Would you need as many pilots? I don't know. I don't know. I guess you still would. Like, this is the thing that I don't quite understand, because if the pilots are not doing enough hours, and then something goes wrong, then they kind of don't really actually know how to fly because they're out of practice. That's just as much of a problem.
I think there would be a workaround for that. They would be like the simulator that you were playing. They would build a very realistic simulator to keep them in touch with the aeroplane somehow.
Yeah, but I wonder how different it is. Like, it's different. It's gonna be completely different. Like being in a simulator where you're, if you crash airplane, it's not the end of the world, but in real life, it's a different story. So you'd want to have somebody who has had enough real life hours that they've been flying and practicing. Would you want to have a pilot that could override, just in case something goes wrong, they override the system and they've only really spent time in a simulator flying? They don't really have any real life flying hours. Like you're not. Nobody's gonna be comfortable with being in that airplane.
But that would make a good movie story.
It would make a good movie story. But seriously, that's a problem. That's a problem. I don't know how to get around that. Besides, the only way to around that is to have people, have pilots continuously practice in real life, but then you might as well just not even have AI in the first place.
Or maybe the the flying part would become so minimalistic that probably the air hostess and the stewards, they would be given the training for that.
Yeah, but they would still have to fly in real life.
So you're saying how would they get practice?
Yeah, they'd have to practice. They'd have to practice in real life. There's no other way around it. Even if it was like minimal, like just a few controls.
I think they can get some practice, like Air Force pilots. They are not at war every day, but they still keep on practicing.
Well, for sure. Definitely. Yeah, they have to. 100%. Yeah, you got to stay in practice for sure. Yeah, you can't leave it all up to AI completely. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly the way around that. It's interesting. Interesting thing to think about.
Right. And you all heard it first on 12-hour
Yeah,
podcast.
that's right. Okay. Did you hear about? There's this weird song going around um, that is called Doctor Fantasy WhatsApp Web. Have you heard about this?
This is the first time I'm hearing
Yeah, it's really
Dr. Fantasy.
strange. It's really strange. I don't think you're not gonna be able to hear this, but I'm just gonna play it for anybody that is watching this, just briefly. Things well, and then you can view it on your own.
Maybe I can play it.
Okay, and I have no clue why this thing is gaining popularity, and it's some Spanish. It's got this like Spanish introduction. It's this cartoony thing.
I can't find it. What is it called again?
It's called Doctor Fantasy WhatsApp Web. Yeah, look it up. It's weird. I mean, it's nothing like the music isn't really crazy, but the weird thing is that I don't understand why it's gaining popularity. And I've been hearing about it a bunch. And it looks like all of the comments are in Spanish.
I think it's some kind of spam because I cannot find it over here
Oh, really?
on
Look it up
my.
on YouTube. That's where I'm.
Yeah,
That's. Oh, really?
I'm looking at YouTube and I can't see anything.
Oh, it's interesting. I wonder if I can send you a
So,
link to it.
or maybe it's only popular in Canada.
Maybe. I don't know. But it's all of the comments are in Spanish. So
You know what could that be? It's just my, you know, outrageous theory.
yeah.
It could be terrorists communicating.
Okay. Okay. Let's run with this. Let's run with this.
Because
I've
terrorists really have to find a way of communicating that doesn't get under radar, and they always try these unique things. They would use dating apps, they would use stuff that you won't expect a terrorist to be using.
So they're using this song
Probably.
for what though? I don't understand. What are you talking
Just
about?
to
What are you even talking about?
just so that they can have a conversation in the comment section.
Oh, but in Spanish?
Spanish terrorists.
Are there Spanish terrorists? I mean, I don't want to be. I'm not trying to be, you know, funny here or anything. But how many Spanish terrorists are there? I don't think there's any. I'm
If
sending
you
this
are
to.
comment this, and we would love to join you our comment section.
Yeah, yeah. There, I just sent you a link for it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very strange. I can't understand why some things are popular. Why is this thing popular? Why do people care about this? Maybe it's for like just a specific age group.
Okay, so the reason I was not able to find it was because everything in this is Spanish.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Everything is
The
Spanish.
description,
Yeah,
the description as well.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and no surprise that it wasn't found on Indian YouTube.
Do you things get blocked a lot there? Things censored?
Skip. I'm sorry, I didn't get you. What?
Are things censored there a lot in India?
I don't think so. People, all kinds of people have access to internet here, so the censor is not a problem. The piracy is done openly here, really. Like piracy is not a big issue. People can torrent anything that they want. Like, I'll tell you something interesting. Everything, anything that you search on a torrent website
Yeah,
ultimately leads to some porn.
that's crazy.
And I'm surprised, like, how can this word be related to porn? And somehow, some porn is available with every keyword.
That's weird. I guess,
And
well, you know what? I guess in a way that makes sense because I mean, this is the, I think I'm pretty sure, we could look this up too. My hunch is, I have a hunch that the industry, that is the biggest industry
on
on
the
the
internet.
internet. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure of that. That's something that I've read too. And I'm looking the percentage.
Let's look this up. I still want to know. So, for our one person that views this, if you know why that song is popular or why it's gained so much popularity, let us know in the comments. What is the number one
Wait a minute,
industry?
that it says only 13%. ChatGPT says 13% is porn on the internet. That sounds very low.
Yeah. Well, maybe people aren't really searching it up as much as you think.
So maybe the data has changed over the years because
Maybe.
a few years ago I really read somewhere that porn was like 50% of the internet.
Well, maybe it's also kind of hidden. Maybe the data is a little
Dark
bit
web,
hidden
dark web.
and yeah, maybe something like that, or maybe it's kind of skewed because if I look up the top industries on the internet, what was coming up was Google searches, Amazon, like
Hmm.
these sorts of things. So I think it's skewed. I think it is skewed, maybe.
And another possibility could be it could be memory wise, storage wise, the GBs
Yeah.
of data that they're using.
Oh yeah, it's got to be a crazy amount. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's got to be in terabytes, not gigabytes for sure. Yeah. What's after
Yeah.
terabytes?
I think, let me remember that. Tera is 10 raised to 12. 10 raised to 15 is what? Is it hecta? Hectabytes?
Hectabyte. Okay. More things
We
to look
have to
up.
look it up.
Yeah, what is larger than a terabyte? Here we go. Units larger than a terabyte include petabyte,
Peta.
petabyte, exabyte, zettabyte, yottabyte, and brontobyte. That sounds like a dinosaur. A
Ranchabytes.
brontobyte. A geobyte is also larger than a terabyte and refers to 10 to the power of 30 bytes or 1,000 brontobytes. Interesting. And there's a chart. Looks like there's a chart. Ooh, let's look at the chart, everybody. Everybody, because there's so many people here that will be viewing this. Here we go. So a nibble. Oh, a nibble is 4 bits. Did you know that?
Sounds cute.
Yeah, isn't that cute? And then a bit, of course, is just like a single 1 or 0, a binary
Now that,
digit.
yeah, now that makes sense. All these names,
Yeah,
they are kind of related to biting.
yeah,
Nibble, bit,
yeah,
bite,
yeah,
morsel.
yeah. There's no morsel byte here that I can tell. So it goes bit, nibble, byte, or some people call it an octet, which you can imagine is 8 bits.
Mhm.
Um, I would have called it a binibble.
Or maybe a hickey.
Yeah, maybe a hickey, sure. Um, a kilobyte, we know what that is. Things used to always be in kilobytes. I remember that. You'd get a game and it was just in
Uh,
kilobytes.
yeah, those days were good.
Yeah. Megabyte, gigabyte, terabyte, petabyte. So that's 1,024 terabytes. So everything's 1,024. Why 1,024? Or what is that?
It's
10 to the power of 3 bytes is a kilobyte.
That's because it's a power of two. Two raised to
Ah,
something
right, 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 right.
goes to 1024.
Gotcha. But isn't, I mean, 1,000 is in, if you just did 1,000 bytes, that's power. That's, is it? No, you can't do it. Oh, that's not a power of 2, I guess.
Mm, yeah. So the power of two is 512, and the next one is 1024.
Okay. And then 10 to the 6 bytes. I think it's 10 to the 6. Yeah, 10 to the 6 is a megabyte. 10 to the 9 is a gigabyte. 10 to the 12. So I guess it just goes up by 3. 10 to the 12, 10 to the 15, 10 to the 18, 10 to the 21, 10 to the 24, and so on.
Yeah.
But where are they getting these names from? Petabyte. Where do they get that name from?
I think few of them might have some story, and after that they would have to come up with it randomly.
We're going to have to look it up. We got to look these things up, man. I can't let it go. I can't just say,
Okay.
oh, it's called a petabyte. Okay. That's fine with me. I have to understand. Why is it
Let's
called a
begin with the
petabyte?
most common one, which is the kilo. Why kilo is called kilo?
Yeah, because it's not really, because a kilobyte, you'd be 1,000 bytes.
Okay, so it comes from
I would,
Greek
is
language.
it
So
Greek or is kilo from Latin?
it says, GPT says that it comes from Greek word kiloi,
Okay. Because kilo,
which
like
is
kilometer, kilo generally means 1,000 of something.
thousand of something.
Yeah, but this is not 1,000. This is 1,024.
Well, they are pretty. I'm pretty sure they are rounding it down
Yeah.
so that it sounds like a good round number.
But also, the thing that's interesting is a byte is 8 bits.
Yeah,
Okay, so if a byte is 8 bits, then you would think a kilobyte
it's 8,000
would
bits.
be 8,000 bits. Exactly, right?
Right.
So somebody doesn't really understand. Either they don't understand Greek or they don't understand what these words actually mean.
No, but that's correct. If you take a kilobyte, that would include 8,000 bits.
Yeah.
But the problem is we don't use bits nowadays. We just use byte because a bit is too small.
should still at least, at the very least, it should still be 1,000 bytes if you're going to call it kilobyte. But anyways, megabyte. So is that from
Okay,
Greek? So that's from Greek as well. That's what you're saying. Let's look it up.
let's see.
Hold on, I gotta leave that page open and then go to a new search.
Yeah, again, it's from Greek word megas.
Megas. Okay, so where does the word? Let's just look this up. Mega come from. Mega come from Greek, yeah, where it has the meaning extremely large, huge, megalith. Okay,
And
megastructure. Okay,
and terra is Greek too, from terras.
yeah. So I guess it just keeps doing that. So what does tera mean? Oh, not that tera. This tera, I think. Yeah, 1 trillion comes from the Greek word teras or teratos, meaning marvel or monster. Interesting.
Come to think of it, it makes sense because Greek mathematicians were very advanced. So they probably came up with these big numbers in the past and they named it in Greek.
So I guess tera is considered to be larger than mega.
Yeah, that's a million times larger.
Yeah. But by the Greek definition, it's not. I don't think it's a million by the Greek definition, is it? No, it's a trillion. Tera is a trillion, isn't it? That's what it says here. Tera is for a
Yep,
trillion. Yeah.
but it's a million times bigger than the mega
Right,
because
right,
mega
right,
is
right, right. Gotcha. And 1,000 times bigger
giga.
than giga. That makes sense because of mega, giga. Or no, it's
So
giga then mega, isn't it?
first mega, then giga,
Yeah, 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 yeah,
and,
yeah. Right, right. Mega
and
then
then
giga. Yeah, 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 yeah. That's right, 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 right. And then tera. Yeah. So 1,000 times bigger than tera.
goes beta.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, of course. That makes perfect sense. Interesting. Oh, yeah. And of course, that's why it goes up by 10 to the power of three more than the previous.
Yeah.
Of course, three more zeros. Yes, yes, yes. But is that how the Greeks thought of these words? Is by these denominations? Or did they just simply, because it by this it just says that it means marvel or monster. That's what Terra means. It doesn't say that it means, a trillion. So how
I
did
think
yeah, I guess
I
that
think
came later, that
yeah,
decision.
trillion was an English word, so that would have been added later.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's no is I don't know if there was anything that the Greeks had that made them decide on denominate like words that represented denominations of this, like, you know what I mean? Like they wouldn't have. Did the Greek? Maybe they did. Did the Greeks have words to explain the size of a numerical value? Because they had the Greek numerals. Interesting. Hmm. So let's see. Attic numerals. These are Attic numerals. Okay. I'm trying to read through this like relatively quickly. So Greek numerals are decimals placed on powers of 10. The units from 1 to 9 are assigned to the whatever. We know all that. Um, Instead of reusing these numbers multiple times, higher power of 10, however, each multiple of 10 from 10 to 90 was assigned its own separate letter from the next line. So maybe the letters that were assigned there. Maybe there was a name for the letters. Maybe you have to kind of go down that. Maybe that's what it is. Like, so what let maybe that's what it is. So let's look up. Oh, I got to solve this problem, man. What Greek letter represents, let's say, 1,000? So 1,000 is X. No, I thought X was 10. The earliest alphabet related systems of numerals used with the Greek letters was a set of acrophonic Attic numerals operating much like Roman numerals, which derive from this scheme with the following formula. So I equals 1, right? And then it's kind of like an R equals 5, and then a triangle is for 10. But then I thought X was for 10.
But that's in Roman numerology, and Greek was different.
Oh,
And
right. There's the Romans and then there's Greeks. Of course, I'm getting them confused. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So then, thank you. I'm losing
and
my mind.
GPT says that kilo was introduced in 1795. So that's the first
Oh,
time maybe they
interesting.
had to count something up to 1,000.
Right. How was just for curiosity's sake, how is the letter X pronounced? Or, well, I guess they still use it. So, I should put, how is the letter X pronounced? Oops, spelled wrong. In Greek. It'll correct it. Greek letter looks like an X is named chi. Okay, totally different.
She,
With yeah,
yeah, Kai, Kai.
or kai.
Actually, I
Okay.
think,
Oh, it's
yeah,
pronounced kai. Yeah. It says okay, right. So it's just spelt that way. Yeah, and pronounced kai. Okay, as in the chi-square test in statistics.
right. Kai is actually a very popular number in physics and mathematics.
Okay. Right, of course it is. Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, we use X all the time, but we call it in English. You just call it X. But what you're
Hmm.
actually doing is you're representing like you're talking about like variables, right?
Yeah,
So we call the variable X, but what it actually is chi.
right.
Is that
So,
right? Yeah.
yeah, so Greek mathematicians wrote their scriptures and like mathematical derivations and used Kai, but English people might have translated them as X,
Interesting. Yeah, of course we would because well,
and
that's
that
how
is
we
why we
would pronounce
see
it. Yeah.
X everywhere.
Yeah. X equals this. X equals that. Ah, interesting. So then what about Y? I guess do they?
That's just a
Yeah.
follow-up.
Yeah, just because we use X, Y, and Z because, well, then we just start getting into the English language at that point.
Yeah,
Seriously, so, but then also, something I don't understand is mathematics and physics, these languages that use variables, or sorry, these forms of mathematics that use variables. Um, then there's part of the variables are in English and part of the variables are in Greek. And then part of the variables I think are also, do they use Roman as well? Roman numerals? Roman letters for any of this?
very
All
no, very rarely, very rarely.
it's all Greek and English, I guess, right?
Yeah, yeah. The Roman numerals are only used to mark the question numbers.
That's funny. Yeah, it's true. Use like I and then I and then I. It's
Yeah,
true. Yeah, it's very weird. Why do we do that? Who made that
because
decision?
Roman numerals are actually pretty difficult to use if you have to use it in daily life.
Sure, no, that makes sense. How many letters are there, or character? I don't know. Are they considered to be letters or characters in the Greek language?
I think there are still 26 because for every Greek letter there is an English alphabet.
Hmm. So there's 26 of them, But then in physics and math, you would run out of those pretty quick, right? 26. You'd run out of is 52 enough? 52 letters, characters altogether enough to cover the expanse of physics and math? No, of course not.
No, that is why some of the letters are used in different areas of physics.
Hmm.
They look similar, but they have different meanings. And based on the context, you have to understand that, okay, this K has to be from electrostatics and this K has to be from, let's say, mechanics.
Interesting. But then also K is like K is used to explain energy, right?
That would be Ke, kinetic energy.
Oh, that's Ke. Okay, gotcha. Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay. So I guess yeah, we use combinations too to increase the amount of characters, overall characters that we can use. We use combinations of letters and from both alphabets.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. All right. Interesting. All right. That's fine. There's something else that I think that you would be interested to talk about because I know that you're a big fan of cricket.
Okay. Let's hear about it.
Yeah. Well, supposedly there's, I guess I don't know anything about cricket, so I'm just guessing. There's a series of games right now going on between England and India, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
From the 22nd of February to the 27th of February.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And also what's interesting is the time that it starts would be the time that we normally would have started our podcast, right?
Mm,
For today's game, isn't it?
I'm not sure.
I think it starts in like 2 hours.
I think it starts around 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. here.
Okay. Because
So
you
that would be,
to go off on a little bit of a tangent for a second, you said you wanted to start the today's podcast 1 hour earlier than we normally would have, but we ended up doing 3 hours earlier.
how is that?
Well, it's right now, like normally we would start. Hold on, when did we start? Oh no, you're right. I'm going crazy. For some reason in my mind, I was thinking 11 o'clock p.m. my time, but that's usually when we end up ending. Not when we
Yeah.
end up starting. It's been a long week. It's been a long week.
Yeah, that's okay.
It's been a long week. Okay. No, everything's fine then. Everything's fine. So yeah, so when we would normally end, when we normally would end, that's when
The
the game
match
is supposed to
starts.
start. Yes. There we go. Now we've got it all
Yeah.
sorted out. Are you gonna
So
watch
yeah,
it?
I only see the updates, like which cricketer made how many runs and what is the current status of the game. That's all I see. Because the game that is going on is called the Test Cricket, and
Oh,
it's the 5 day version of the game.
okay. What's the difference?
Usually, the most popular one is 1 day, and
Okay.
1 day game lasts for around 8 hours.
Jeez, how many people are on a team?
11 in a team, so that's 22 playing.
Jeez, are they're not all playing for 8 hours? I mean,
Yeah, they are playing for like 4 hours,
each.
half the time each.
Okay, that's still a pretty long time.
Of course, people get used to that duration. So 8 hours, watching it for 1 day is much more interesting than 5 days, because these 5 day games can at many times end up being in a draw, which means there is no result.
Jeez. So hold
So they
on. When you
play,
say they're 5 day games, are they like playing? They're not playing nonstop for 5 days.
yeah. Of course, they have lunch breaks and drinks break,
But
but still, they
they're
are
not
playing
playing
eight
like.
hours a day for 5 days.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, yeah, they're playing 8 hours a day for 5 days. Yeah, yeah. They're not playing. It's not like an endurance thing.
No, not 24 hours though.
Because then
So
the
they
team would
will
have to
big.
be much larger.
So they start around at 9 a.m. and end the day at 5 p.m. They
Okay.
have those 8 hours to play.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
like a 9 to 5 job.
Yeah. So, like, what's a typical score for cricket in a one day game?
300
300.
is considered a good score.
300 is considered a good score. Okay. And then would you then say in a 5 day game you'd be doing five times like 1500?
1500 combined for both the teams, yes.
Okay. Interesting. All right. All right. So like why is this a big deal though? Why is like it seems like this particular these particular teams playing against each other is a big deal. Is it? Or is just what's currently going on?
So England used to rule over India historically, if you
Sure.
remember.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So the game of cricket was invented by England, and it was a huge part of British Army culture here.
Okay.
So that's how Indians learned to play cricket. And
Okay.
there is a big story, an Oscar nominated movie that was made on this concept. It's called Lagan.
Lagan.
Yeah, so it was a very popular movie, and it was like how farmers teamed up against the British Army and had a game of cricket and beat them at their own game.
Okay. Yeah, because they're here we go. Lagan, the 2001 sport musical. Okay.
Every Indian movie is a musical.
Every Indian movie?
Yeah. Have you ever seen any Bollywood movie?
I've heard of some because I've had some students who have wanted to learn songs from them because
Mm.
I teach music on the side. So, but I never realized that all of them,
Yeah, each movie has like 5 songs.
why?
It's just the way it is.
Interesting. I wonder how
Maybe,
these things start.
uh, y-
We have to look
you
that
know,
up too. We can go down so many
in,
rabbit holes.
Indian movies are 3 hours long usually.
Okay.
So if you give 5 songs in between, that gives people 5 breaks. It can be for they can use it for washroom or
Oh, so
maybe
that's what.
buy
So they go
buy
into a song and
popcorn.
then people go to the washroom instead of listen to the song.
Yeah, because the song they
That's
can listen
so
to it
funny.
at they can listen to the song anytime on the radio or the
That's
YouTube.
hilarious. So like that's really like culturally that's the purpose of them, or is that just what happens?
It happens, but I'm not sure if that was invented for that.
But it's just what it turned into. Yeah, because I would
Yeah,
imagine that would like if you just want to watch a movie. I don't want to hear people singing and dance.
yeah,
I don't care about that. Like maybe I do for some movies, but not for all of them. Not for every single movie I watch. So I can understand that.
yeah. You can see in the Western world, this having songs inside the movie is pretty rare.
Very rare. Like
And
you have musicals, like, and you know that that's what you're going to get.
right, and in India, it's very rare to have the opposite, a movie without any song. That's very, very
Is
rare.
it really like if you went to see a movie with no songs in it, would you actually be like, where are the
Where
songs?
does it gonna come? Yeah,
You're like,
probably,
what the world's going on? What's wrong with this movie? What is this director thinking? I need a bathroom break.
probably, yeah. That happens in Hollywood movies.
Okay, how
When
long
we
are how long are the songs?
5 minutes, that's it
That's not enough time.
per song. Why not?
Well, what if you're a little, what if you go to the bathroom and things get a little messy?
Now we are playing with the odds.
It happens. It happens.
Okay. Yeah, maybe they are out of water or something.
Yeah. Wild. Okay. Interesting. That's really interesting. Okay. Learning new stuff. Thank you very much. So back to this cricket thing. So yes,
Yeah.
England, you know, India was under England occupation, I guess, or just part of British rule, part of the English Empire, right? And then cricket was given to was part of a sport that was often played amongst the military. India adopted it. India became better at it, and now so when India plays England and they beat them, I guess that's the thing that Indians really like to see that they're beating the British at their own game. Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Okay.
you can say that.
Okay.
But
No,
it
that
took
makes
India
sense.
100 years. It took India 100 years to get better than them.
Wow. 100
The
years.
Indian team became pretty strong, I think, in the late 90s or 2000. In fact, the first World Cup that India won was 1983.
Okay.
And that became a huge monumental moment for Indian cricket. That is when the cricket boomed in India.
Interesting.
Again, there is a movie on that as well that came recently based on the triumph of 83 World Cup. Nobody knew before the movie why 83 World Cup was so important. But the movie really beautifully shows how Indian cricket was not respected before 83, and after 83 it has become this huge part of the inseparable part of our culture.
That's pretty cool. Okay, so that makes sense to me. That makes sense that that's why it would be a pretty big deal.
Mm.
Cool. All right.
And I think the same thing happened with Argentina and football.
Yeah, well, Argentina is incredible at football. You say football. We say soccer.
Soccer, yeah.
Yeah. Argentina, Brazil. I know that in cricket, Pakistan and India, those two countries, things
Our
can get
rivals.
pretty wild for obvious reasons.
Hmm.
But then I've also
Yeah,
heard that the sportsmanship in particular is actually quite good between the
it is. Yeah,
countries. Yeah. Like,
it's not that we hate Pakistan. We love Pakistan. We love Pakistani artists, cricketers, everything. It's just that this politics that has been going on around,
yeah.
it sours the taste. That's the only
It's
thing.
really unfortunate. It's really
Yeah,
unfortunate because the cultures, as far as I know, I mean, I don't know a ton about it, but as far as I know, and you correct me if I'm wrong, the cultures are very similar.
very similar. Yeah, we are basically cousins.
Yeah. Really unfortunate. Yeah. And I think it's the whole region, right? Would you say that like that whole region is kind of like between Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, India, like all those countries really have challenges like that
Complex
politically?
dynamics. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Politically, but I think the people, like just the general population amongst all the countries are everybody's okay with each other, right?
yeah. I think we really don't have any hard feelings about any country, any neighboring country,
Yeah.
or people from there. But it's just the politics.
Politicians. That's a
Yeah.
whole other topic in itself.
And I'm not sure if we are gonna go there.
Yeah, I don't think we should. It's very controversial. And I
And
don't,
also
yeah, I don't
draining.
know if we want to make this podcast controversial.
Yeah. I'm okay with controversial, but still it has to be a productive conversation.
Yeah,
Politics sounds like something that would drain you of your energy and won't return anything.
I agree. I agree 100%. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it would induce a productive conversation.
Mm,
Yeah. I think when it comes to politics, it's interesting to understand like the origins of some things, the history of some things. That's fine politically. But
yeah,
yeah, I don't like I don't like thinking too much about or talking too much about um, deep beliefs when it comes to politics because I don't know. I think that for a lot of not for every country, but I think for a lot of countries, things were incepted in a way to be simple. They were supposed to be simple and help to serve the country. Like that was really what I believe, not for every country, but I think for a large majority of countries, the purpose of having, political parties, originally the purpose was supposed to be like, and to have governance was supposed to be to serve the country and the people of that country and to make things better and to improve things and to, you know, uh, figure out who is the best person or people for the job to do all that. And it seems like it's turned into something different. Who's right
Mhm.
and who's wrong, who can argue something better, and um, who can win more votes or spend more money to influence people. And yeah, I just think that it's unfortunate. But
And interestingly, politics was also discovered or introduced by Greeks.
right, right. What's the timeline? I always forget what the timeline is for the Greeks compared to the Romans.
I think they overlap.
Because the Romans had a political system as well, right? But did the Romans learn the political system from the Greeks?
I think they overlapped. It was like 500 BC or something.
Yeah. But did the Egyptians also had a political system too, didn't they?
Yeah, they overlapped with Julius Caesar at that time.
Hmm.
Who was I think the he was the last Greek emperor or something like that. Or
Yeah.
sorry, the last Roman. Or the last Roman emperor was Marcus Aurelius. Oh, I'm also confused about the timeline.
Yeah, we gotta look it up.
Mm.
We gotta look it up. Let's do it. That's what we do around here. We just look everything up because we like to learn stuff. We like to go down rabbit holes. Um, what is the timeline for ancient Egyptian, Greek, and Roman empires? Oops, empires. The late period of ancient Egypt history came to an end in 332 BC when Egypt was conquered by the Greeks. The Greeks formed their own dynasty called the Ptolemaic. Am I saying that right? Ptolemaic dynasty. Ptolemaic.
Ptolemaic.
Ptolemaic. Yeah, I think so. That ruled for nearly 300 years until 30 BC. In 30 BC, the Romans took control of Egypt. The Romans ruled over for over 600 years until around 640 AD. So the Egyptians, the Greeks, and the Romans. But see, you're saying that the Greeks had the first political system. Is it the first political system that we still use today? Are we saying that? Or are we saying that the first political system? Because as far as I know, the Egyptians had a political system of sorts, but maybe it was more of a dictatorship rather than a political system, like a democratic system.
Yeah, Greek was more democratic.
So maybe it was the first democratic system. What was the what was the main culture that ruled most of the world before the Egyptians? What culture
I mean, which culture ruled the world?
ruled? Well, because I don't know if I mean the Egyptians didn't really rule the world per se. They ruled a part of the world. They were maybe the most powerful in the world
Mhm.
at the time, but they didn't really rule the world because there were other cultures going on in the world at the same time. Um, what culture was the most powerful before the Egyptians?
There are
Egyptian.
some new names here. It's Padarian culture, Nakada culture. Never heard of them.
What was the world power before Egypt? Under the leadership of Cyrus the Great, Persia ruled the world's first true empire, centered in Iran and stretching from Europe to Egypt to India. So was Persia before that? I thought Persia was after. Let's look this up. At what time was the Persian Empire, let's say, built? Okay, so 550 to 330 BCE.
So again, there was an overlap.
Yeah, interesting.
S- So Persian Empire, Egyptian Empire, then Greek Empire, then Roman Empire.
What was before the Persian Empire? Let's see how far back we can
Dinosaur,
go. Yeah,
Dinosaur Empire.
yeah, dinosaur empire. Yeah. Okay, that was, yeah. That's still Persian. What was before? What was Persia before it was Persia? No. Let's look this up on ChatGPT because it looks like we're starting to get to the expanse of. Oh, by the way, I created a ChatGPT account for us. So everything that we
So we
search up
can.
can all be in one space. And if you search up something on there, I can actually view it on here after you've searched it up, and
Ah,
vice versa. And you use the same info and login as our Google account.
right. So we can do that right now or
Yep,
the next time.
yep, we can do it right now. Yeah, I set that up last week. Yeah. Okay, so let's look this up. Let's see. Um, so, what culture was the most powerful before the Persian Empire? Persian. Yeah, I'm spelling that right. Why is it not spelling? Oh, maybe because I didn't
It
capitalize
says
it.
it's a Neo-Assyrian Empire.
Oh, did you already? You already searched up. You're faster than me.
Yeah, it's easier to use the phone.
Oh, did you look it up on
But
ChatGPT or you just looked it up on your phone?
on GPT.
Oh, interesting. Using our account or no? Just generally.
Okay, so I'll switch to our mutual account
Yeah, do that.
and
Yeah, yeah. That way I can just we're not typing in the same thing. So I'll just put it. I'll put it in here now. What culture was the most powerful before the Persian Empire? All right. Uh, oh, it's saying it's subjective. Determine the most powerful culture before the Persian Empire is subjective and depends on various factors such as military strength, territorial expansion, cultural influence, and technological advancements. However, one of the significant cultures that held considerable power and influence before the rise of the Persian Empire was the Assyrian Empire, right?
Neo-Assyrian.
Yeah, the Assyrian Empire centered in Mesopotamia, which is modern day Iraq. Interesting. Okay. And it's peaked during the 8th and 7th centuries BCE. So now you're going to 8. Is is that considered to be 800 BCE or
But
8,000 BCE?
I think it would be 800 BC.
Is
8,000 is impossible because I think we have only recorded history of 5,000
Yeah,
BC.
so I'm confused. Is 8th century BCE also 800 BCE? I think it would be. Yes. Okay. Yeah, it is. Okay. Interesting. What was before that? I wonder how far back we go. Give me, I'm going to ask, give me a timeline of all empires in existence.
Powerful empire.
Yeah. For as far back as we know of. Ha. Okay. Creating a comprehensive timeline of all empires in existence from the earliest known civilizations to the present is an ambitious task due to the vast scope of human history and the multitude of empires, blah, blah, blah. However, this is what we know: Sumerian civilization and Akkadian Empire, which was 3500 BCE. Then the Old Kingdom of right. There was an Old Kingdom of Egypt, which was 2686 to 2181 BC. The Babylonians, the Syrians, Neo-Babylonians, the Archaemenid Empire, Macedonian,
Archimedean.
Archimedean, yeah, Archaemenid, because it's NID, Archaemenid.
Uh,
Uh, Founded by Cyrus the Great. Okay, so that's the Persian Empire right there. The Macedonian Empire, that's Alexander the Great. Then there was the Maurya Empire, founded by,
that's from India.
okay. But then why is it skipping over? Oh, I guess the Old Kingdom of Egypt. But then, okay, that's back to the construction of the pyramids over there. But then where's the? Because there was the Old Kingdom of Egypt, but then there was I guess, a newer Kingdom of Egypt, and that was supposed to be after. It was supposed to be the same time as Alexander the Great. No?
What BC?
Yeah.
What BC were you saying?
So there was the Old Kingdom of Egypt, which was 2686 BC. That was the Old Kingdom of Egypt. But when we looked at it before, it said that there was, because I do remember hearing about that before. Like Egypt went through a variety of stages of its empire, and at certain points it wasn't that strong, and then it gained more strength after a certain amount of time. But it's not listed here in this timeline, which is interesting.
I think who was that? Was that Cleopatra that brought strength back to Egyptian Empire?
I think I remember hearing that too. I'll just put who brought strength back to the Egyptian Empire after its fall in, what was it again? In 2181 BC. 2181 BC. Let's see what it says. ChatGPT. It's loading. Here we go. After the fall of the Old Kingdom of Egypt around 2181 BC, the strength of Egypt was eventually restored during the period known as the Middle Kingdom, which began around, okay, then 2055 and lasted until approximately 1650. The restoration of Egyptian power and the stability during the Middle Kingdom was largely attributed to the rulers of the 11th and 12th dynasties. One particular notable ruler during that period was Metuhotep. Yeah, I remember hearing about that. After prominent figure was Amenemhat, who founded the 12th dynasty. It's not saying, it's not giving me dates though. Under the rule of the Middle Kingdom, pharaohs, Egypt experienced a cultural and artistic revival. It doesn't give me timelines though. I'll put, what about Cleopatra? Cleopatra the seventh, often referred to simply as Cleopatra, was a prominent figure in ancient Egypt history, but she did not restore the strength of Egyptian empire after its fall in 2181. As she lived much later in history, Cleopatra was the last active ruler of the Ptolemaic kingdom of Egypt and reigned from 51 to 30 BCE. Okay. So she's part of the Ptolemaic dynasty, which was of Macedonian Greek origin. Got it. So even though this Egyptian empire existed, they were considered part of the Macedonian Greek origin. Interesting. So it's still considered to be part of, I guess, the Macedonian Empire at that time.
Okay.
That's what it says. And the Macedonian Empire, yeah, that makes sense because the Macedonian Empire was Alexander the Great And I remember, and it's from 334 BC. And when we originally looked up when the Egyptian Empire um, was last most powerful, that was the same timeline, like around the same timeline that we were given before, if I remember correctly. So that makes sense.
Right. But the question is, the oldest empire, that was Neo-Assyrian Empire,
That was the Sumerian
Sumerian.
civilization and Akkadian Empire, which was 3500 BC. The Sumerians of
Okay.
Mesopotamia developed the earliest known civilization, followed by the Akkadian Empire, founded by Sargon the Great, which unified Mesopotamia.
So the question is, what religion did they have?
Oh. What was the of, religion of the Sumerian civilization? Okay. The religion of the Sumerian civilization, one of the earliest known civilizations in Mesopotamia, modern day southern Iraq, was polytheistic.
Hmm.
Polytheistic. Sumerians believed in a pantheon of gods and goddesses who governed various aspects of life, nature, and the universe. Here are the key deities. There's 6 of them listed here. The Anu, chief god and ruler of the heavens. Enlil, the god of wind, air, and storms, considered second only to Anu in importance. So it's listing them in terms of importance, anyways. Enki, the god of water, wisdom, and magic. Inanna, the goddess of love, fertility, and warfare. That's interesting. Love, fertility, and warfare. What's the correlation between warfare and I can see the correlation between fertility and love, but not warfare.
I can see two correlations. One would be whenever the soldier would go to the war, he would impregnate the wife before going, so that the generation lives on.
And probably if I'm sure if they took over land in a nation, they would also impregnate the women from that nation as
Right.
well. Yeah, probably that makes sense. Okay. Nana, the god of the moon and wisdom. Oh, and they have in brackets for Nana, they have in brackets sin, Sin, which is interesting. Maybe that's the kind of the origin of that word. We can look that up too. And then there's Utu, the god of the sun and justice, associated with truth and
S-
righteousness. Yeah.
Sin and justice. Okay.
Yeah, no, Utu is the god of sun and justice. Yeah. And then Nana, which in brackets they have sin, is the god of the moon and winds and wisdom.
Now, interestingly, all these gods have become extinct. The
Yeah.
concept of these gods and this religion as well, I believe.
Well,
So,
except for one, which is the first one, which is Anu, the chief god and ruler of the heavens.
Anu.
Anu,
Hmm.
Anu. Yeah. That's the only one that is relatively similar to many of the gods that exist now in a lot of religions. The chief god, the main god, the number one god, and ruler of the heavens, right? So
The CEO of all gods.
the seer of all gods, because that is, yeah, that's the number one god of importance. And that's why I guess that's what they're mentioning, but that's what they're saying by the chief god. Because if you look to the second one, it says this second god is considered second only to Anu in importance, and you can imagine that the other gods are less important. It's interesting that they consider to be the moon god more important than the sun god. That's interesting that that's
Is
the
it
way they thought of
because
it.
moon is closer? Is it because of
But
that?
how would they know that back then? I don't know if they would
If
know that back then.
Greeks could know that, then maybe they could have some astronomy program as well.
Well, this is like way before the Greeks, right? So let's look it up, but you might be right. Did the Sumerian civilization Oh man, ChatGPT is so good. Like, why even use Google anymore? I guess to see
Mm.
like images of stuff, and but eventually ChatGPT will be the same. I imagine it'll
Yeah, I
give you
think Bing,
images.
yeah, Bing can do that.
Mm,
Bing app,
yeah,
I think it gives. In fact, our Skype has Bing inbuilt.
yeah, it's
You
got
know
it
that?
embedded. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a demo version of the Bing.
Uh, did the Sumerian civil? I thought that Microsoft had Copilot.
Bing Copilot.
Oh, is it known as the same thing? Okay. Um, I thought okay. Anyway, so did the Sumerian civilization have any knowledge in relation to astronomy? Probably could have worded that better, but that's okay. Oh, okay. Yes. Okay, you might just be right here. I second guessed you, and I shouldn't do that. Yes, the Sumerian civilization had considerable knowledge and interest in astronomy. They were among the earliest cultures to develop systematic observations of celestial bodies and to study their movement, blah, blah, blah. They had the development of early calendars. Okay, the Sumerians, yeah, Sumerians developed one of the earliest known calendars based on observations of the moons. Yeah, I've heard of the Sumerian calendar before. We use what's called the
Ah,
Gregorian calendar, right? We use the Gregorian calendar now, but before that, I think it was always the Sumerian calendar. Sumerian calendar is the calendar of the moon. Of course, that's the calendar that my culture, I think your culture also uses the moon calendar, right?
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's where it
Yeah,
came from. Oh, that makes sense. So that's why they based the calendar off of the moon. But again, why did they decide to do that based upon the moon and not the sun? To me, that's interesting.
I think maybe it is related to the duration of the moon cycle and the
Yeah, maybe
human
it's easier
cycle.
to follow. Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you come to think of it, human females have their own period of 28 days,
Yeah.
and which is again the 28 days cycle of the moon.
Yeah.
So that can be synced easily.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And also, you would notice more changes that were happening in relation to the moon than the sun. Like, it's more like you'd see them more quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, we can say 5 days from the full moon,
Yeah.
but 5 days from full sun won't make any difference.
Yeah. It's hard to track that. I mean, I think it was a long time until people like really could easily track the movement of the sun because
Mm,
it's much slower in comparison to the moon. Yeah, that's interesting. So that makes sense. That makes sense to me.
mm.
Okay. So then you might think because the changes are happen more quickly, there's more of an importance on keeping track of the moon because it's easier to do in comparison to the sun, which makes it a more important god in comparison.
Mm.
That's interesting. Hmm. Okay. There you go.
Another mystery solved.
Yeah. At least for now. I mean, I'm satisfied with that. Maybe there's more to this. There could very well be a lot more to this, but I'm pretty satisfied with that. I'm good. Yeah. Other interesting things to talk about since we're on the topic of ChatGPT.
I think I was thinking about something and I kind of gave it a name. So we are kind of introducing a new concept here.
Oh, okay. Let's do it.
And it's common, by the way, but I think it doesn't have a name yet. I
Okay.
call it statistical depression.
Statistical depression?
Yeah, so when you are
Okay.
expecting numbers to look one way and they appear to be lower,
Hmm. Okay. Okay. They
like
appear to be lower than they actually are. Is that what you're saying?
or like you expect them to be much larger. It
Okay.
could be the bank balance, it could be the number of followers.
Oh. just for example, just for example, number of subscribers to a particular YouTube channel. Let's say a couple guys who do a podcast called the 12-hour podcast. Just for instance.
Yeah, those guys would be pretty depressed as hell.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. They're not depressed. they're suffering from statistical depression.
Yeah, so it has to have a name.
Okay. Yeah. You're let down by the delta between your
Internet.
expectations and the reality of things.
Mm.
It's
So
funny. Okay. I might use that. I might just use
yeah.
that.
Now the thing is, it can either bring you down or it can make you pivot things. It can also motivate you and say, okay, the numbers are here and you want to be here. What is something that you can do or want to do to change the direction?
Mm, okay. Okay. What do we want to do? Do we want to do anything right now to change any direction? What do you think? Or are we satisfied with the way things are going so far?
I would say we don't have a number in mind. So definitely, un- until and unless we decide that this is the number we should be at,
Mm.
I don't think we would be taking any step to do that.
I think what we should do, this is my opinion. I generally, this is my rule of thumb when it comes to stuff. I think you have to give something about a year and a half until you can provide any judgment towards it in an accurate way. Because a year and
Uh,
a half is plenty of data to know kind of where you stand with something. And I do that with like when you're getting to know somebody, when you're taking on a particular project, if or you're going down a new avenue or path, you need a good amount of data to determine where you started, where you are, and what the difference is between those two things, and if there's a reasonable amount of growth there, if you got to a place that you imagined you would have gotten to in that time period, if things are as you thought that they would have been within that timeline, and if not, then determining how to pivot from there.
Makes sense because whenever I go and see the history of any YouTube channel,
Mm.
in the first 1 year or 1.5 or maybe even 2 years, you won't see any spike in the numbers. And then suddenly, for some videos, you can see a spike and then it just stays up.
Yeah, and I think also there's something to be said about gradual growth. I think if all of a sudden you have one video that's like doing this in terms of
Spike.
views and you go viral for some reason, you can't expect to sustain that across all videos. That's just an anomaly.
True.
Yeah. So I think you have to be seeing this kind of thing happening. So what's that called? What's that curve called? It's an
Exponential.
exponential curve. Yeah, it's an exponential curve. Yeah, that's right. You have to be seeing an exponential curve. I think one spike doesn't mean much because there's lots of channels like that out there where I've seen channels like that where they have one video has 1 million views and they have a ton of other videos and they have like no views at all. And also you can
Yeah.
see there's really no consistency between the content that they're putting out there.
Just yesterday, I saw a few channels, the music channels.
Hmm.
They had like hundreds of thousands of views on one video. But when I saw their channel, they had like 100
Yeah,
subscribers.
exactly. Because people go there because of the viral video, but they don't even subscribe. I think to get subscribers, you have to be consistently providing value through a number of videos, through like a good number of videos over time.
Are we doing that? Are we giving them value? Let us know.
Yeah, let us know. Let us know. 1 to 0 viewers. I think it'll. I think it'll happen. I'm pretty confident we're going to get to the point where we're going to have like one person, one viewer. It's going to be there for like every video. They're going to be our biggest fan. They're going to be like our only viewer. They're going to be commenting on stuff, liking every video. It's going to happen. It's going to start there. And that person's going to try to
And
like promote us because they're really going to like what we're doing.
and hopefully it's not it's neither of us.
Yeah. Hopefully, it isn't the two of us doing it, yeah, ourselves. Sure, that's right. I think it'll happen. I think it'll happen. I'm pretty confident. And again, like, this is my mindset. I'm not looking for this to be something that, like, becomes something huge. I don't really care. I don't really
I
care.
agree.
Yeah,
I'm with you on that.
yeah. I really don't care about that at all. I think if it does, obviously that's cool just to see that happen and we were able to do that. But I don't really care if it happens or not. Um, and for me, this is more of like, let's just see what happens. This is like, let's go on an adventure. Let's go to a place together and let's just see where it takes us. And
Yeah,
yeah,
it's an experiment, maybe.
yeah, an experiment. Yeah, it's an experiment, a life experiment, something interesting to do, and yeah, and whatever. Yeah, whatever it is what it is. And what I'm getting out of it most of all is like, like I'm talking about things with you that I would never otherwise talk about. And I'm like looking things up and learning about things that I otherwise would, I should say never spend time, because I'm generally like interested in this kind of stuff on my own. Like I like watching documentaries and stuff like that, but um, it's like a really good use of time to learn about these different things. There's certainly things that I'm looking up and learning about that I definitely would never look up on my own. I would never even think about. So it's yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
So we are kind of accelerating our learning. We can say that.
Yeah, accelerating our learning. You know, providing a bonding experience for ourselves and each other. It's a nice thing. It's a nice thing. So it's all good. Yeah. And if it
Yeah,
turns out to be more than that, then great. If not, then that's fine too. Whatever.
right.
Yeah. Easier that way, you
No,
know? When the expectations
go
are
with
like
the flow.
really low, there's there's no statistical depression at all.
So if anyone watching this is going through statistical depression,
Yeah.
keep your expectations low and go with the flow.
Yeah, I agree. Keep your expectations low. Go with the flow. Let things be what they are. You know, put in effort. There was a famous quote that I really like. I think Steve Martin, do you know Steve Martin?
Is he the actor from Pink Panther?
Yeah, that's right. I think
Uh,
it was him that says this. I'm going to look this up too. Pretty sure this is his quote. He said, 80% of your successes are just showing up.
True.
Just be there. Just be there and do it. And from there, it'll just spiral. That's it. Just keep it
So
simple.
true.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's cool.
Yeah, come to think of it, I remember back when I was getting back to teaching after lockdown, I never thought I would like dive into it. I thought I would take it slow and see how things are now. And what happened was when I started teaching at one place, I started getting offers from different places. And before I knew, I was teaching at six places
Mm,
simultaneously. So I was running from one place to another. I was like occupied almost 12 hours a day.
right.
And
Sure.
so it was something that was very new for me. I had never been so busy and so occupied. And what happened was I started feeling burned out in a few months
Right.
because I wasn't really experiencing the joy. I wasn't feeling satisfied,
Sure.
even though I was working all the time and having a good income also, but that wasn't really satisfactory. So
Makes
yeah,
sense.
I had to take a step back and rethink what I was doing, why I was doing, why I was enjoying before and why I'm not enjoying it now. So yeah, it took stepping back and slowing things down to really get some perspective.
Sure. Yeah, sometimes having a certain level of success in something or a certain level of demand for what you do uh, I mean, there's pros to it for sure, but there's also downside. There's a downside. And sometimes you'd think that the upside would outweigh the downside in that circumstance, but sometimes it doesn't.
Hmm.
Sometimes it doesn't. I remember something similar happened to me. A, I had this sort of, I guess, thought in my mind at some point, and this was like a long time ago. This was probably about like 13, 14 years ago, because I was teaching music for a little while, and I didn't have that much of a student base, but I was doing okay. And I was thinking to myself, like, what if my, what if I can't keep this base of students going because this is like my primary income, and I'm teaching privately. So what if I can't maintain this amount of students? How can I reach more students more easily? Well, I could do group classes, or well, what if I could reach more people outside of the people that I could just drive to or I can have come to me? Well, I could just teach online. And this was, I mean, just when Skype was pretty much the only main platform that people were using to have video calls with. That was it. It's like, that was pretty much the only like that, and then maybe people were also doing video calls on like Messenger. That was it. It's like way before Zoom or any of that stuff. So yeah, I like made myself a website, started teaching online, had a few students here and there, not much. And then many years go by, I think it was like 10 years of that. And then all of a sudden, the Cerveza virus comes around.
Hmm.
And I went from 10 students to like, I mean, in 1 month, I taught like 460 students.
Hmm.
I was teaching from like 5 in the morning until like 12 o'clock at night straight, eating while I teach. I'm thinking to myself, this is not going to last forever. So I'm going to capitalize on that as much as I can. And it lasted about a year and a half of that. But same thing. Like I can relate. I wouldn't be able to do that forever. I couldn't work from 5 in the morning to 12 o'clock a night, 7 days a week forever. Like there's a downside to having that much, having the ability to take on as much as I was. And I wouldn't, I just, it'd be impossible to do it forever. Just be impossible.
Right. We only learn about our limits after breaking them.
Yeah, I think it's important to try to figure out what your limits are. I think it's really there's something to be said about pushing yourself to a limit of sorts, as long as it's not
Mm.
like in a crazy detrimental way. But I think it's important. I think you learned a lot about yourself and what you're truly capable of. I think a lot of people are capable of way more than they realize, far more
Agree.
if they were to
We
just
we
push themselves.
yeah, we too. I think that applies to everyone.
Yeah,
We always undersell ourselves
yeah,
often.
yeah,
I
yeah.
feel so. Yeah, I feel that often that I'm sometimes I undersell myself, or maybe I don't accept or acknowledge my true potential. I don't know. Sometimes it feels that way.
Yeah. We're probably. I mean, it's likely that we're both able to achieve a lot more than we
Mm.
are, for sure. I'm quite positive of that. At the same time, it depends on how much you actually want to achieve. Like maybe you're
Right.
okay. Maybe you're okay. Like there's a
Right.
balance between like how much you're capable of and how much you're content with achieving.
Right.
Yeah. And I think if you're content, I think that's okay.
How badly you want something. Yeah.
And I think if you're content, I think it's important not to ever be too content or comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
because something can kind of just like sweep the rug underneath you. Like that's life. Life will just sweep the rug from underneath you. And if you're too comfortable or content, you can be really caught off guard and be unprepared and ill equipped to be able to handle it effectively.
Yeah. Yeah, just like those pilots that are not training.
That's right. Just like the pilots that are not training, for sure. Yeah, you can always keep yourself relatively trained. Yeah. That's why I think it's really important also like the networking thing.
Mm.
Have like one networking meeting like once a
A
quarter
week.
at least. At least
Oh,
once a
once a quarter.
yeah, at least once a quarter. Like, at least.
Interesting.
Yeah. Just to
Yeah, just to keep
stay
yourself in the loop.
connected. Yeah, 4 times a year. Just do it 4 times a year.
That's 4 coffees.
Yeah, it's nothing. It's easy. And you also could just do it online. I actually have a little bit of a rule. So if I'm working with a team of people and somebody gets let go, or if I have interns working for my team and they finish their internship, I always keep in touch with them. And I always stay connected with them. Once a quarter, I have a meeting with them for like 30 minutes just to keep in touch, see how they're doing, see how I'm doing just to stay connected, network, see where their career takes them because I might, who knows, I might need something as much as they might need something at some point.
Mm.
So I think it's good to do that. Stay connected. Something that I wanted to talk about, which was related to ChatGPT, was
Mm.
Sora. Did you hear about this?
Sora.
Sora. Sora.
Is that a new AI something?
Yeah, Sora is an AI model that can create realistic and imaginative scenes from text instructions. So you've probably heard of this before, likely,
Okay. So
where,
image generator.
yeah, image generator, a video generator,
Mm.
but this is ChatGPT based, and OpenAI owns this technology. So you can expect it to be pretty powerful.
All right. So I think the last model that I heard of was DAL E or DAL E by
Yeah.
ChatGPT itself.
What's DAL E?
It's again, I think the image generator.
DAL E. Image. Oh, DALLE image AI. DAL E. Yeah. Two. It's an AI system that can create realistic images and art from a description in. Okay, and they've got DAL E3, which is OpenAI. Yeah, you're right. It's OpenAI. So what's the difference supposed to be between these two? I think these are just images. I think Sora is video.
Oh, now that's more interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to show you something. Um, I wonder if I can easily pull this up for both of us. Let's just see. Yeah. Let's see if I can do this. Um, no, I won't be able to do it on here. It'll require me to move stuff around. But I've done that. There are tools out there to do to do um, AI generated video. You can take an image and then you can ask it to take that image and then reconstruct it somehow or to like pan it. And as it pans the image, of course, that's to create new parts of the image that never existed based upon the image that exists, like that you gave it, that you fed the AI.
So yeah, so it creates animation out of one picture.
So it doesn't, what's interesting is it animates picture, but it's not really, what's the word? At least the one that I used, it's not really sophisticated.
Okay.
So it'll take like it seems like it's not too sophisticated. At least again, the one that I use. I'm sure there's ones that are way more sophisticated, but it would just take, let's say I had like an image of a car. I could pan it and it would just move the car across the screen, but it wouldn't really be like you would just it would look like like it's just panning a camera. So it doesn't look like car is moving. You can just tell like the scene is moving. It's just moving to a different part of the scene, and they would create new imagery that was just not there before. It wouldn't be like taking the car and spinning the wheels or making the car look like it's moving down the road or anything like that. I
Maybe
bet you,
if we put it, yeah, maybe if we put it in the text that make the wheels appear rolling, maybe it would do that.
yeah, well, so this one, there was no text to give it. There was just like camera angles. You could just change the camera angle of the image. Yeah, a certain amount. So you can say like pan the image from right to left by this amount per second.
Mhm.
And then it would just do that, and of course, or like move the image down or up, or like, or you could turn it.
Okay. I think it's called Ken and Burn effect in
Hmm.
video editing.
Can and burn,
Ken and Burn, if I remember the name correctly.
like can
K
as in
Ken Ken.
can and burn effect, video editing. Let's see what comes up. Video editing. Oh, the Ken Burns effect. Okay, Ken Burns. Okay,
Ken
Ken
Burns.
Burns. Ken Burns. Yeah, Burns. Effect is a pen or zoom added in post production across a still image. It adds the illusion of movement, giving the still imagery the animation of a video clip. Right. Sure. Okay. Yeah, so maybe it's something similar to that. An
Hmm.
AI generated Ken Burns effect.
Yeah, that would be much easier because if we do it manually, we have to let the editor know where you have to begin with, where you have to end, what was going to be the duration. But AI can simply do that in just one sentence.
Yeah. Yeah. What's interesting with this one is you can go to Sora, openai.com/Sora right now, and you'll see that on the main page is an AI generated video. And it looks like the type of video that would have been shot with an actual camera. Like it looks very realistic. It's pretty impressive. So it's not like animated.
Uh,
It's not an animation. Although I guess
wow.
technically it is, but it
So
looks like
the
an actual video that was
paper
shot with a camera.
planes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing too. Airplanes
Yeah.
flying over trees or flying in amongst trees.
Wow.
And it looks like they're actually like bumping into each other and slamming into the tree and then disappearing amongst the leaves. And I mean, it's fairly impressive.
Yeah, it's more than what you would expect an AI to do in
Yeah.
just 2 years.
Yeah. Holy moly.
Considering OpenAI came just 2 years ago,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. And I think if you scroll down, wow, look at that one. Do you see this one of the
a
lady?
stylish woman
Yeah. Just walking the
walks down.
streets. There's no way
Oh,
that's
that's
completely AI generated. It
that's
is.
so
Wow.
realistic.
That's wild.
And then there is second one that's a mammoth walking on ice.
Jeez.
And
That's
third
freaky.
is wait, third one looks like a movie scene. Wow. Is that a real actor? Wow.
That's crazy.
Oh
How is
man.
this AI generated? A movie trailer featuring the adventures of the 30-year-old spaceman wearing a red wool knitted motorcycle helmet, blue skies, salt desert, cinematic style, shot in 35 millimeter film. Jeez, you can even give it like the type of film it was. That's wild. That's wild.
Drone view of waves crashing against mountain. Wow, you just have to put that and
Yeah,
it gives a drone view.
that's crazy.
Why would you even buy a drone then?
Yeah, why buy a drone to film scenes like
Do you have access to this? Can
so
you
this is
search
coming
something?
out. This is coming out. It's not out
Okay.
yet. They're developing. It's in development right now. So this is probably the length of time that they can generate a clip for, like 17 seconds. Is probably the maximum amount of
Uh,
time so far that you can generate a clip.
that's crazy. That's crazy.
Wild.
We are doomed.
Yeah, the next one's an animation. Looks incredible. Animated scene featuring a close up of a short, fluffy monster kneeling beside a melting red candle.
It's never ending.
Crazy.
So that brings us to our next thought. Is AI scare something to be worried about?
I don't think so. I'm not scared of AI at all. I think it's just going to be a tool that's going to help us make
Mm,
our civilization even more technologically advanced. It's going to speed up technological advancement at an incredible rate that's
mm,
beyond our imagination. But I think it's going to be a tool ultimately to help us for the most part. But there are going to be bad actors, like with every technology. There's bad actors. They're going to do bad things. I don't think you can
Gotcha.
get around
Gotcha.
that. Yeah. What do you think?
So yeah, I'm really overwhelmed with this. I'm not sure how it's gonna change my personal life in coming years. But the only thing that I'm worried about on a personal level with AI is about the scams.
Mhm.
The level of scams can get way up there.
Yeah, it can be really difficult to know if something is. But you know what? I think that I don't know. I have more faith in people. I think. I mean, there will be people that will fall for this stuff,
Mm,
but I think that there will still be the vast majority of people that will be smart enough to be able to see through and to recognize the scams, because I think there's going to be like every scam out there, I think there's still going to be like telltale signs that are going to be super obvious if you're paying attention, if you're educated, as to whether or not something is a scam. I think what's going to happen
okay.
too is there's going to be probably somebody's going to come up with a successful scam. It's going to get out there into the public, people are going to be aware of it, and then like anything else, we're going to look for patterns.
Right, but of course that would happen when the scam has been reported for like 100 times at least.
Hmm.
So I just hope I'm not one of those first 100 ones who doesn't get a chance to find that pattern or recognize that.
Yeah, I think the way to mitigate that is to not do anything ever unless it's something you've done before and you're very familiar with. If it's something that's new and if it's something novel, you haven't done it before or you haven't interacted with it before, then to be just more mindful and skeptical, careful. If it's something that you have interacted with before, or it seems like something you've interacted with before, like, you know, these scams where it's like you'll get a link. You'll
Mm.
get like an email from a company where, I don't know, you bank with a certain company, and you get an email that seems like it's from that company, and it gives you a link to their website. It says, I don't know, to reset your password or some random thing like that. And you click this link to reset your password. You click the link, and then it looks like the actual page from that bank. But of course, you look at the address, and it's clearly not the address if you're paying attention. You can see it's not the address that you've been taken to for that bank. So you shouldn't put in
No,
your
but
password. But
I'm talking about a scam on a much higher level, which is AI enabled.
no, no, I know
So
that. Yeah,
links are pretty common. So let's say someone sends you a video
yeah,
of your very family member being kidnapped, and they are saying, "Come and help me, rescue me,"
right.
and it looks very real.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I was trying to say. I was trying to say like there's certain things that are like things you've interacted with before, you're familiar with. So maybe it's like in this example, it's a family member or something. Um, you know, you would automatically trust. You see a family member, you hear from a family member, you would automatically trust that's actually that person. If something is quite a bit different than, like, if you have an interaction with a family member like that, you could go along with it to a certain degree and be like, yeah, of course, I'm there for you. I'm going to help you out. Um, you know, let me just give me a, like, do you have a number that like the, I don't know, I'm gonna have to call you back. Like the reception is bad. Like just in case we, or maybe just in case we get disconnected, allow me the ability to call you back.
Mm.
And you get a phone number, and then you hang up, and then you call the actual person with the regular phone number, and then find out. Like I mean, like that's I think the steps. So we're gonna have to think that way. Like if something is very like if there's if there's something familiar, but it's taken into a context that is unfamiliar or that's different, just double check it. Like double check it using some critical thinking. I think that is. I think we're just gonna have to get much better at critical thinking. I think that we're going to be
Right.
forced, which actually might be in a way, if these scams come out like that, like you're saying, these very sophisticated scams come out,
Mm.
it's going to force we're going to for a matter of survival, it's going to force us to become much better critical thinkers,
Yeah. That's a good
which
way to look at it.
yeah, which is not a bad thing. It's a great thing because people are not. There's not a lot of good critical thinkers out there. I tell kids this like that I work with all the time. I said if you can become a great critical thinker, you will do way better than almost everybody that you know and you come in contact with because
Yeah.
they don't
In
teach
fact,
that in school.
yeah, that's the gap. That's what I've been working on for past maybe 7 years. That is something of a passion project for me, that I want to implement something that enables critical thinking in teenagers specifically, because that's the age where you have certain level of intelligence and you are just about to step into the real world, and that is the sweet spot where you have to develop this critical thinking.
I think one of the best examples of a critical thinker, and I use this example a lot with because they can really appreciate it because this person is very inspirational, is Elon Musk.
Elon Musk, yeah.
Have you ever seen him answer a question?
Yeah, he's very poised.
Yeah. And he also will go like this. He could do that for like 5 minutes. And he doesn't care how uncomfortable the silence might be. He'll make the person wait. And clearly, what he's doing is trying to determine he's probably thinking, what are all the possible ways that I could answer this question? And then, of all the possible ways that I could ever think of, which one is the one that makes the most sense to answer with?
Right.
And that is like the best form of critical thinking. It's one of
Yeah,
the
I agree.
best. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
to summarize something very succinctly.
Yeah. Yeah. And to determine what are all the possible ways that I could respond to something. And out of all the possible ways I could ever think of, which one do I think will yield the best results?
Mm.
And that's actually what I try to teach a lot. A lot of my students they'll answer so quick. I'll ask them a question, they'll answer so quick that I can tell they don't even know what I asked.
Yeah.
Because I'll ask them, I'll say, what was the question I just asked you? And they'll go, I don't know. Like, so how can you answer a question you don't even know if you don't even know what the question was? They're like, oh, yeah, that's true.
That reminds me of this movie scene from the End Game, I think, where Doctor Strange imagines all the billions of universes and
Hmm.
comes up with this one particular universe that is going to save them.
Hmm. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah,
So yeah.
why not? Yeah, so yeah, there needs to be more of that. And I think, I don't know, like, call me an optimist, but I really, I believe in the capacity for humanity to be able to solve really complex issues and to navigate through. any environment that seems overwhelmingly against us. I really believe
Hmm.
that we have the capacity to do things like that. I have to at least believe that we have that capacity. Because if you don't at least believe that we have that ability to do that, then you might as well just give up. You might as well just like, what's the point of even waking up tomorrow?
No, we definitely have that ability, and it's all a matter of how often we train it.
Yeah. I think there will, you just need one person. That's also my thing too. If you look over the expanse of time, how many horrible people have there been that have done awful, tremendous atrocities to humankind, to our environment, to this world? Countless.
Mm,
And then how many unbelievably amazing, great people who have turned the tides of humanity in an incredibly inspiring way? I think it's way less. I think it's way less people
mm,
that have done like unbelievably positive things for humanity. And yet we're still here. So that also gives me a lot of hope because it makes me go, well, that means you don't need a lot of people to make a difference. You just really only need one. And if there's going to be billions of people on this planet and you only need one to really make that much of a difference, it's pretty good odds. That's pretty good odds.
mm. So it's like you can fail many times and have to find the right way just one time. Or
Yeah.
maybe I'm trying to find an
Yeah. That's a
analogy.
great, actually, that's a really great way of thinking about it. You can fail a million times at something. All you need to do is succeed the one time.
Mm,
And all the failures actually led to that success. So,
definitely.
yeah, I think good is far more powerful than evil, far more, by the billions of times. Even I would argue
S-
trillions, because how many people existed before the billions? So I'd argue by trillions of times, good is powerful, more powerful.
So numerically, good people are in lower numbers, but the goodness
Yeah.
in
The
intensity or
yeah, in an
the value
influential
is
way.
higher.
Yeah, in an influential on a humanity scale, on a affecting all of humanity scale. Yeah. I think generally people are cooperative, not good. I don't th-
Cooperative.
yeah, I don't think people are necessarily good or bad. I think there are good and bad people. But I don't think on a humanity scale, I don't think of us as good or bad. I think about us in terms of how cooperative we are. And I think we're designed to be cooperative, generally speaking, on a large scale.
Yeah, I think that's a more realistic way to put good and bad in. Never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, goodness comes much later. First comes cooperation.
Yeah. And I think that the more horrible, this is an interesting thing too. If you look back at history, the worse that things get, the more cooperative we tend to get.
Hmm.
Because it's
So we
almost
kind of,
yeah.
it's like a bonding effect.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I think so. I think that that's like a natural part of us. It's like a it's an instinct. I think it's a natural instinct that if things get really bad, we just know instinctually that the best way through that is to become as cooperative as possible with each other, which often is used against us by leaders, right? That gets into politics again, so we won't go. We'll try not to go down that road, but
Mm.
people do stuff like that, right? They'll use that instinct of humanity against us sometimes, but we still always come out of
Yeah,
it somehow. We come through it and we realize that that's what's happening. We are. I think we're smart enough, so I'm not worried about AI like that. I'm really not.
right, right. That's a really good take.
Yeah,
And again, 12-hour podcast is the first place that you heard of it.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
yeah, today we have done, I think, the longest.
Yeah.
It's over 2 hours.
2 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. 2 hours. Um,
Cheers to that.
cheers to that. There is a lot more that I wanted to talk about that I had in the list of things to talk about, but we can leave it for next time, unless there is anything else that you wanted to go through. But I otherwise we can leave it as is for today. I think that we talked about a lot of really cool things.
Yeah. If you feel if it is going to be relevant with what we have said today, so maybe you can bring it up, what you had in mind.
Well, yeah, I mean, let's leave it for next time. I say let's leave it
Sure.
for next time. Yeah,
Okay, one thing I wanted to ask,
sure.
and we can wrap it up with that.
Yeah,
You said you teach music.
yeah.
So what kind of music are you teaching?
Pretty much anything. I teach 8 instruments.
Oh, wow.
So guitar, drums, bass, vocals, um, yeah, trumpet, ukulele, piano.
I've been struggling with guitar for like 10 years. I've been only doing it, practicing once a week maybe,
Okay,
and sometimes it sounds good, and often it sounds okay, average or horrible.
right.
So yeah, and F chord, wow, that's so tricky.
So because you're doing it like a bar chord.
F chord, how the
Yeah.
first finger has to press the first tab,
Okay, so
and
it depends on how you do it. Yeah, I was gonna ask. So if you're doing it where, look at this, I have a guitar right here.
yeah,
So we'll do a little
looks cool too.
mini music lesson. So why not? So it depends on how you're doing F. If you're doing F like this, so this is like the full bar chord.
Okay, I've never used this one.
Okay, that's a lot more challenging than if you just do this. You can do
Yeah,
this and just play these strings here and
yeah,
leave these two out. So this might be the way that you're playing it,
yeah.
right?
And
Now,
I'm unable to press the fifth and sixth string together.
right? This is
I
actually the
often
first.
just,
This is actually the first and second string.
oh yeah. So what my finger does is it presses the second string
Yep.
and leaves the first one out.
So you could do that if you just leave this one opened.
Yeah.
That's called F major 7.
Uh, but that doesn't exactly sound like F.
No, of course not. It's a different
Mm.
chord. It's an F chord of sorts, but it's not F
Uh,
major. It's not F major.
uh,
Yeah. This is F major. This is F major. Or you can play like this. These are two different voicings for the
of
chord
the same
F.
chord.
Yeah, or two different ways to make the F chord sound. We call them voicings. Yeah. So that's
Uh,
yeah. So or you can play like this. I mean, there's other ways you can play F too, but whatever. You can play like this, or you can leave it open that first string and just play F major 7.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I do. And sometimes I just skip uh what striking the first chord, because that
Okay.
sometimes the finger just deftly touches that string.
Okay. What's the difference between a chord and a note?
I think note is just one string and chord has to be multiple strings.
Sure, for in relation to the guitar, but
Yeah.
does a note or chord have to be played with strings?
No, of course not. I think when we say chord, it is multiple notes played in what is it called? Consonants. There is
So,
a dissonant and
oh,
what's the
harmony.
opposite of dissonant?
Harmony.
Harmony. Yeah.
Yep, but so a chord has to be harmonious?
I think so.
No. You can have a chord that's dissonant.
Really?
Why not?
What would be an example of that?
So you might have a chord. I don't really know what the name of this would be, but I have a chord that sounds like this.
Ah, that's yeah, that's dissonant.
Very dissonant.
But yeah,
But
is
there's a
that
lot
really a
of,
chord?
yeah, yeah. As long as it's multiple notes at the same time, it's a chord.
That's it. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
That's all you
but
need. Multiple notes, multiple sounds at the same time is what a chord is.
yeah, so but it is not an accepted chord. Is
Well,
that
it
what you mean?
depends on the style of music you're playing.
Okay.
There's some
So
styles
it
of
can.
music that use those types of chords quite a bit.
That would be really painful to the ears. What
It
do you think?
depends. It's interesting. It depends on context. What's really interesting about the human ear is if the context is correct, then um, it won't bother the ear too much. It'll actually be quite satisfying because after that, if I play a chord that's very
Ah,
harmonious, then it becomes like it made sense to go from there to there. It makes sense because we got to a place that was nice.
okay. I think I'm getting what you're trying to say. There is an example that came to mind. That is a Beatles song, "Strawberry Fields."
Okay,
Yeah, that's very.
sure.
If you hear hear that song for the first time, you are definitely gonna feel that this is not a general chord pattern or something. And in reality, when I read about it, I learned that Beatles had actually recorded the song in reverse.
That's
They had put
interesting. Yeah.
that film or whatever recording tape they used in the reverse order,
Hmm.
and they found it that it was actually going with the lyrics and the feel of the song, so they kept it that way.
Sure.
So this song was actually a mistake
Yeah.
that succeeded.
There's also a whole entire genre of music that's based upon playing notes that are wrong.
Mm, could be,
A
yeah.
very popular, actually, a very, very popular style of music that's still played today. It's been played for many, many, many years. And that style of music is called jazz.
Jazz. Yeah, I was thinking of that
That's like the whole
because,
basis of jazz is to play things that are wrong.
but jazz on the one hand sounds eclectic.
Yeah, sure, because they resolve things in a way that it drives the ear towards something that is harmonious at times, and it kind of brings it out of harmony and back into harmony, and it kind of plays around with that. If you listen to something called smooth jazz is just that. It's very harmonious. It's like the maximum amount of harmony that you can possibly attempt to have in music. Like that's the purpose of that music, to be as harmonious as you possibly can.
Mm,
Yeah. Yeah. So then there's funk. Funk music, a lot of funk music is meant to be like at times very funky. So a lot of wrong notes get played. A lot of
uh,
weirdness. Sometimes you'll have like these weird effects and sounds that are kind of like set you off balance. Then you might have, I mean, sometimes some electronic music might be that too, to put in like it creates like a little bit of suspense.
mm.
Music like from horror films uses a lot of dissonance to create
Dun,
that,
dun,
yeah,
dun.
to create that sort of effect of eeriness, and it's kind of uncomfortable, and that's how you it's kind of cringy, like you did, right? I play the notes, you're like, ooh, that doesn't sound nice.
Yeah.
That's used in horror films to give that vibe. Yeah. So it
Yeah.
depends on the
Can
genre of music.
can you hear this music that is going on the background?
I can't because you've
Okay.
got the noise suppression on.
Yeah. So there's this drum music going on,
Hmm.
and this is called Nasik Dhol.
Narcic
Nasik Dhol. Dhol
Narcic
means drum.
Oh, dole. Okay.
Drum. So there are lots of drums playing in sync,
Nice.
and this is something that is usually done on festivals. But
Cool.
I don't think there is any festival today. I'm not sure why they are playing it today.
Just for fun.
And And it's only morning, what, almost 9 a.m.
They're having fun. Sounds like you live in a very lively place.
It happens very rarely here, but yeah, there is a place like few kilometers from here where people gather and practice music,
Cool.
but they practice drum basically, not the other music,
Okay.
and it's kind of a bandstand for them.
Cool. That
Yeah.
sounds fun. Sure. Okay, I'm gonna
So
go.
yeah, yeah, sure. Someday we'll have an online jam session.
Yeah,
Why
that'd
not?
be fun. Why not? Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think we should what are the topics? Because you notice that in the titles I tend to put like the main topics of discussion or some of the main topics of discussion. So what were the main topics of discussion? I think Sora was one of them. That's pretty amazing technology.
Yeah, sure. We can put that and
Yeah, empires
and
for sure.
statistical depression.
Statistical
That would be
depression.
something new.
Sure, that sounds good. I'm down. Okay, there you go. That's today's topics.
Yeah,
All right. Thanks, man.
yeah.
Look forward to seeing you next week.
Same here. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Okay, have a great week, man.
You too. Bye.